What is up, everybody? My name is BobaTalks and welcome back to my Crisis on Earth X review and breakdown. Now, this is for night 2 or part 2, whatever way you want to say it. And my god, what a journey this has been. Honestly, it's been an emotional ride for me, and I'm sure for many of you guys out there as well. I think you mainly know what I'm talking about in terms of the Stein moment. That really hit me, and if it failed to hit you, then what kind of monster are you? But let's just start right at the beginning. But before we do, guys, I do want to remind you that I do Arrowverse content just like this weekly, amongst other TV shows like Gotham, and then other stuff within the DCU and blah blah blah. If you want to stay up to date with stuff like that, and if you're new to this channel, maybe consider subscribing. If you're already subscribed, hit that notification bell to ensure you never miss out on a single video. And if you go on to enjoy this video, guys, I'd really appreciate you hitting that like button. So we start where we left off at the end of last episode, at the concentration camps on Earth X. Now, this is where we saw lots of moments like this in the trailers of Earth X. This is where the team also met the Ray, but I'll get to that in a second. And while all this was going on as well, we had like Harry and Cisco moments in the pipeline, and Team Arrow, like everyone was in the pipeline apart from Felicity and Iris. And as always, the Harry and Cisco moments were bloody hilarious at the beginning of the episode, and even Team Arrow were getting annoyed by their squabbling, which is what they do. It's a love and hate relationship, we all know that. And Felicity and Iris are being pretty kick-ass, even though I highly doubt that using a gun to just hit one of those armed soldiers with helmets would have only just shoveled them back, not knocked them out. But I guess I have to force myself to let stuff like that slide, because how else would they have saved everyone in the pipeline? But yeah, just a little nitpick, that really wouldn't, what they did to those soldiers wouldn't have knocked them out. I'm pretty sure about that. Now, I have to say, over on the Earth X side of things, resuming the concentration camp storyline and the execution almost happening, I have to say that Papa Lance, or should I say evil Papa Lance, was just absolutely brilliant in his acting. He was just absolutely brilliant. Now, Quentin on Earth X was this like Nazi evil higher up in, I don't know, the Reich or something like that, and he was just so good at playing such an evil character. I would like to see more of him in other roles just like this. I mean, it suits him so well, and I think that must have been a thrill for him to act, because I don't know, he doesn't obviously act like that in his normal character on Earth 1, so being such an evil bastard to all of our heroes was probably quite a change for him, and it definitely made quite the performance. Now, we've seen this bit from the trailer plenty of times where we saw them all lined up, and that is where Captain Cold, or should I say Citizen Cold, saved all their asses. And now he was one of the highlights of the last 2 episodes for me. Obviously, I've said a lot about Wentworth Miller if you've been following my videos. He's leaving the Arrowverse, but he's also one of my favorite characters in the Arrowverse, and seeing this Citizen Cold version of himself, he's a lot more upbeat, obviously hero version of Captain Cold. He was just so funny, saying, you could call me Leo, and saying how the Flash has a fantastic outfit. Did you make that? And obviously that's hilarious, because he's meant to be one of the Flash's enemies, right, in our normal Earth 1 line of things, even though they kind of changed his story to make him kind of a hero. But in that moment in the trenches, we saw the Ray's powers, and it was done a lot better than what I thought, and I was really worried they weren't going to do his actual normal powers. I mean, maybe like a minimalistic approach to them, but no, they actually did a really good job. When he went up into the sky, he was glowing like that, and I have to say, his powers and the way they showed it on the CW with the yellow glow around him really reminded me of a Green Lantern. It just made me think of how the CW could actually pull off a Green Lantern really well. At first, I wasn't sure how I felt about Russell Tovey's American accent, but at the same time, I felt by the end of the crossover, I was kind of used to it, and it wasn't so bad. But one of the other most interesting things we learned about the Ray is that he's actually from our Earth. So, as I said in my previous video, if he kind of goes or gets quite popularly received in this crossover, does that mean we could see more of him? Well, the fact he is from Earth 1 kind of indicates to me that they want to leave the fact or the branch open that he could possibly come back to Earth 1, because, long story short, at the end of this crossover, we obviously saw him go back to Earth X, and then Citizen Cold stay. But does this mean that because his real home is Earth 1, we might see more of him? And what we saw from him in this episode was absolutely phenomenal. Now, let's go straight to the resistance-based stuff. I thought this was all brilliant, and this is where we got introduced to kick-ass, very stern-looking Win. I think his name was like Freedom Fighter, like General Shot, I think. I'm not sure, but either way, he was completely different, and I didn't expect that of this actor, to be honest. He plays such a different role on Supergirl, and yes, I know I'm expecting the comments, but he's an actor. Yes, that's what actors are meant to do, but at the same time, sometimes actors can tend to just play similar roles across different roles. But when you get an actor who actually really does change and convince you of such different person, but the same person yet on a different Earth, then bloody well done. As Leonard Snart said, or should I say Leo, General Shot is a bit rough around the edges. But at the same time, even though he was acting like a bit of a dick, and that's the way they kind of wanted to put him across, I really do resonate with what he was feeling and why he didn't want to spare even a second for Alex, trying to save Kara. He had some really good lines, like there are men dying for the same causes that their grandfathers did, and think about it for a minute, like Earth X and what they've had to deal with. Like, if he's the general of all of this resistance stuff, you can understand why he was, even though he came across as a bit of a stern arsehole, you can really understand and sympathize with why he wanted to be so stubborn with his orders. Now, throughout this episode, before the main event happened with these two guys, we got some lovely moments between Stein and Jax, saying how you are a better son than I could ever have hoped for. These things were just lovely. And, obviously this was meant to be. They got a lot of scenes, these two, compared to what they normally do. And it was all very deliberate because of the final moment that came out in this crossover between those two. But I'll talk about that in a little bit. But that moment made me well up as it was, let alone the bit later. I liked the moment between characters like Sarah and Alex, all jokes aside with them hooking up and stuff like that. I liked how Sarah was talking to Alex about, how she's lost a sister. So they can actually relate a lot more than what they probably thought they could, rather than just a one-night stand. They're actually very similar in more ways than that they know. They're both not superheroes. I mean, I guess you could say White Canary is, but she's still just a human, non-powered person. And she's just like Alex that way. And, Alex might be losing a sister and Sarah has lost a sister. So I really like that moment between these two characters. That's one brilliant thing about this crossover. We got so many character moments that we never ever normally get. And that is what I cherish so much about this once a year. Now, I love how different this version of Citizen Cold is from Captain Cold. Now, you would have thought that would have been obvious, yes, but I still want to state it anyway for the obvious sake. I'm just going to call him Leo, but I love how much he was fighting for our side of things to General Win or General Shot, whatever you want to call him, by saying things like this to the Ray. By the way, in brackets, they're together, which was very surprising, but who cares? That's great and pretty cool. You just let these poor, strangely dressed individuals lose their one way home. I like how he was kind of having a go at the Ray for not, like, I don't know, sticking up for them more. But obviously we know Win gave them a shot in the end. Now, from Eobard Thawne in these last two episodes, we got quite a few cool future references. Now, this is what I love. Not only, as I've said this before, Eobard Thawne is specifically him as the Reverse Flash is one of my favorite villains of all time. But what I love so much about what they do with his character, what they write for his characters, we get so many future references because obviously he's from the future. But there was this one cool one amongst, I believe, a couple, but I'll mention the second one later, in terms of how he fought Superman in the future, because we had those scenes with Kara again, because obviously she was captured because they need her heart. But when Kara was just like, my cousin will come for you if you do stuff like this, which is fair enough, Superman would go flipping insane if he knew what was going on, and if he ever did successfully go through that heart transplant with Kara, he would have tried to kill Eobard. But that is when Eobard Thawne says, I fought your cousin in the future. He was fast, but I'm faster. And that was just brilliant. I would have loved to have seen an Eobard Thawne versus Superman battle. The fact that they said this has happened in the Arrowverse as well just is amazing, and it just, I guess, I know we're not going to see it, but it leaves it up to my own imagination that this is canon and this happened, and that is just so freaking nerdgasm worthy for me. I love the moment when Citizen Cold and Führer Oliver entered the base. It was just so smoothly done. Leonard Snart can just play that, or should I say Leo, or just Wentworth Miller. He can really play that sleek, smooth entrance sort of vibe. Oliver was just brilliant at acting evil when he walked into that base with such confidence and stuff like that. Obviously, he's not really the type like Felicity, like we've seen in a couple of scenes. This is kind of a flashback to Arrow with the FBI agent, but she was so obviously faking and lying to that FBI agent, where Oliver, on the other hand, isn't a bit bubbly like that, and he just went in there and completely owned the floor, despite evil Quentin Lance finding out but that he isn't the evil Führer Oliver, through exposing Oliver to Earth X Felicity. We also found out that the Doomsday device was the Welland Rider, but it's basically the Wave Rider, the evil version of the Wave Rider. We even got like an evil Gideon on that. That made me laugh. She was red. I guess, just to signify that she was evil. I don't know if she would be considered evil, though, if she's just following orders and she's like an AI, but who knows. The second kind of Welzabard, like, future reference we got is, he was referencing the history books to Felicity when he said, the history books in my time references how this time was such a brilliant time for the Age of Heroes, but nobody ever mentioned or even knows of Felicity Smoke. I kind of felt sorry for Felicity there, and I feel like that is true. She's one of those people who did make absolutely massive impact probably in this Age of Heroes. Not probably, because we've seen her do so many pivotal things, but at the same time, because she's so behind the scenes, even despite doing so many important things, I don't think she would have such a name like the Green Arrow and the Flash and stuff like that. She's definitely a behind the scenes girl, but unfortunately doesn't get printed in the history books. I love the scene between Barry and Leo where he said, about the plan stuff. Make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, and throw away the plan. That was just brilliant because Citizen Cold Leonard Snart was just like, what? That's just awful. Why would I ever say that? So to just emphasize on these points, these little bits I'm chucking in, the crossover was just full of amazing moments like this. And as I said, this is how comedy should be done. In the CW Arrowverse. Now jumping to that moment where a majority of the heroes stormed the facility. I was about to say Felicity, but that was just so badass. Obviously we had the Ray and the Flash going after Red Tornado, and that was just an amazing sequence within itself. All of this was amazing action. Now this part of the episode was a very important part, and this is where we bridge over to the last part of Crisis on Earth X now, because Martin Stein got shot, and even going into the second episode he got hit again. And to be honest, I knew this was coming. I think we all did. If you knew about how Martin Stein wanted to leave to do Broadway and how that was a thing happening, it was inevitable, right? That it was going to be him. Maybe that Felicity Stone was fake, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was meant to throw us off because of this. And I'm talking about the Felicity headstone we got for the grave. But this just absolutely broke my heart, and it just made me, I was crying my eyes out, to be honest with you. Not necessarily the bit in the hangar, because when that episode ended it was kind of like, oh my god, all of a sudden. But I'm talking about, I'm just going to skip to that moment on the Wave Rider. It just absolutely broke my heart. I think the acting between Stein and Jax in these scenes were just impeccable. Obviously, they must be great friends on set and spent time with each other the past few years even on Legends of Tomorrow and The Flash, and saying goodbye. This was just like saying goodbye to them and themselves in real life, I guess, because it's actually happening. And it really, really didn't feel just like acting. It felt genuine at the same time, and it was just heartbreaking because obviously Martin was just like, he realized that Jax was essentially his life support, and he's going to bring him down with him if he didn't drink that vial, which separated or tricked the Firestorm Matrix into thinking they were merged when they're not, so they can survive if they were to split up or one of them were to die. I just can't reiterate enough how powerful these scenes were. Jax was just, I feel like Jax was just really, really, really probably out of the two. I don't want to say he was better acting, but obviously he was the one who was staying alive still and was saying goodbye to his friend Martin. He's the one who has to say goodbye to Martin Stein's family. And not only that, this was just a sad moment within itself, because obviously Martin Stein has been with us since the early days in The Flash, and I'm so gutted that he's going. I know he wants to do what he wants to do, but still, it is just such a loss. And then even after that, we had scenes of various different heroes, finding out about Stein's death, whether that was Barry and Iris. And then, Ray, the bit with Ray really got me when he was looking at that old photo of them, as cowboys. They've been through, everyone's been through so much with Stein, and it was just heartbreaking. I can't keep going on about it enough, but Jesus Christ, man, that was just gutting. But up until this point, everyone got reunited on the Wave Rider. Kara and Alex then got reunited. Felicity and Oliver were expressing their love for each other and stuff like that. Everything was on the uprun. Now, this is in the part of the Crisis on Earth X crossover where, the heroes fight back, and we're going to get them off our Earth. This is where everyone was reunited as a strong force, and we're just going to screw them over now for even beginning to screw with us. And that is really cool. And a bringing together moment after a very sad moment of losing Stein. Now we got a very ironic moment between Captain Cold, I keep saying that, Citizen Cold, Leo, and Rory. Rory was just like, oh god, not the ghosts again, because if you watch Legends of Tomorrow, you know that Rory has, ever since losing Leonard, as sometimes he even hallucinated him. Citizen Cold revealed that he died on his Earth as well, so he's been alone without Mick. But Mick died saving police officers. And that actually made Mick feel sick, because obviously he's not like that at all on Earth 1. And then this is where we got the moments from the trailers where the heroes were lined up, and it was just like, we're gonna freaking strike back. Swear words. Because at this point, Earth X was invading Earth 1. Like, you know, the Fuhrer, Oliver, was going all out to save his, you know, dying Overgirl. And this was just all badass. So badass. Jesus, it was amazingly badass. The action must have cost so much money for the CW to pull this off. But holy crap, was it worth it? Holy crap, did we get the best 4 hours of DC TV ever. Obviously, a lot of action was in this last scene. I have to say, I absolutely fanboyed out when we had Earbud Thorn, the Reverse Flash, versus Barry Allen. Like, oh my god. And the fact that this isn't just some random ass Earbud Thorn as well, some random ass Time Remnant or an Earth X version. I'm so happy, despite the confusingness of how he survived after getting erased from existence. But I'm so happy that this was the end of Season 1 Flash, because it made it feel like this Earbud Thorn wasn't just, I don't know, if it was just any other random one, he wouldn't have felt as important, if that makes sense at all to you guys. The fact that it was the one from the end of Season 1 made it a lot more like, oh my god, this is like just kind of as serious as if he was fighting him in Season 1 Flash. It's a really serious thing. Our Flash, obviously, is a lot more experienced now, a lot more faster, especially after coming out of the Speed Force this season. But it was so cool when Barry, you know, obviously, I felt it was really emotional as well when Earbud was just like, do it, just do it. Amazing acting from Tom Cavanagh. It's almost like he wants to die, but I guess a lot of it is obviously making, you know, the Flash kill him. It would have kind of made him one. That's kind of like, I felt a bit of a Joker and Batman dynamic there, how that's really, he wants the Joker to make his one rule break. And it's kind of like Earbud was saying, you know, oh, of course, the Flash cannot be brought to killing anyone. Barry's just like, get out of here. And this obviously leaves Earbud Thorn to return again one season. And what made this so good for me is, as I've said a billion times already, this is the Earbud Thorn from the end of Season 1. So the fact that Barry let him go and this leaves him open to return, it's going to be a lot more sentimental to people like me, who, when this Earbud Thorn eventually does make a return, it's continuing the storyline on from basically Season 1. And I love the line that he said to Barry, like, I wonder what face I'll be wearing the next time we meet, Flash. That was just so cool, and not that I expect the Flash to pick up this Earbud as a main season villain or anything like that, but oh my god, I can't wait till this one returns back. And whose face will he be wearing, guys? Oh my god, it's so good. And then this just brought effectively the crossover to a close, because, you know, the good guys won, the bad guys lost. You know, the Fuhrer Oliver died through an arrow through Oliver. Overgirl, basically, I swear he said she was going supernova, but it would have exploded a lot more than what we saw on the screen, even though Kara brought out space, but I don't know, I could be wrong. But either way, she died. Stein's funeral, what more can I say? I don't want to blab on about it forever, but it just broke my heart. Like, as I said, Jax, I've always liked Jax, but I didn't not necessarily think he was a great actor. I just never, I don't know, I didn't feel so sentimental about him. But man, as that evolved for me now, his acting was just so on point. It almost reduces me to tears now thinking about Stein's family, seeing that little baby there, Stein's daughter, Clarissa. Oh my god, it was so sad. I can't put it into words how important these scenes were in the crossover, and I'm just gutted. I can't say any more than that. And then, of course, we get the Felicity wedding at the end. I mean, or should I say, the Iris and Barry wedding, and then joined by Felicity. Now, I knew this was coming. The spoilers did come out before. I just felt like it was handled badly. Believe it or not, I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater of Felicity, really, at all. I just feel like it's handled badly. I'm happy that they got married, in the sense that, fine, I'm not a hater that they got married, but now they can just get on with it. Maybe Felicity can be kind of redeemed in the sense that, as long as they're not pushed on the screen all the time, and as long as it doesn't interfere with Arrow too much in terms of Oliver Queen and his mission, and it's not bloody on the forefront in a show like Arrow where it's not meant to be all about that, then that's great. As long as it's just, you know, they can move on now, it'll be great. Overall, these last 2 episodes were, as I predicted, better than episode 2. I'm so happy with the way they turned out. The action was just incredible. I really do want to talk a lot more about all of this, but as I said, the video would just be going on for flipping forever, and it already has, looking at the recording screen. I have no idea how I'm going to cut this down into 20 minutes or less, but it was just absolutely brilliant. They completely trumped last year's crossover. The last year's crossover was cool, don't get me wrong, but I didn't think it was that amazing. But Earth X was just brilliant. I was so wowed by it. The action was brilliant. The acting was brilliant. There was so much brilliance to all of it. I would give it like an 8.5 out of 10 or something like that. I wouldn't say it's obviously 10 out of 10 because there's flaws, but 8.5 out of 10 is fantastic. How are they going to top this one? But let me know what you think in the comments below, guys. What did you think of this crossover? What was your favorite moments? What did you think were a bit, were you a fan of the Elicity stuff? How were you affected by Martin Stein's death? Did you cry like me, or were you just, were you just not a pussy like myself? But I don't know. How can you not be a pussy when Martin Stein dies? Either way, let me know down in the comments below. But apart from that, guys, if you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like on it. And if you're new to this channel, maybe consider subscribing. Stay up to date with all Arrowverse content just like this. If you never want to miss out on the video, be sure to hit that bell button. It alerts you on every single new video I upload, and you never want to miss out on one of those. You can follow me on social media if you want to stay a little bit more up to date with me. The link should be popping up on the screen around here, or the links are in the description below. But apart from that, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been a kick-ass of a 4-episode run. I just held up 8 fingers, 4. But apart from that, guys, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.